This is the Nikki Maduro Show. I am Nikki Maduro. She is Kim McAllister, and we are here on a Friday. We're going to have fun in just a moment. I want to talk about divorce. And
That sounds really fun.
it is because of how people are embracing this chapter of their life, the end of one thing and the beginning of another. And oftentimes, when one thing is new in your life, people choose a certain way of celebrating. And so we will discuss whether this new way of kind of celebrating or marking is really appropriate and if you would do it. All right. But before we get to that, and we have some kind of political, religious, unhappy news coming up in a moment. But first, hit that subscribe button and that thumbs up. Make sure you don't miss a moment of the show also by hitting that bell because it notifies you when the Nikki Maduro Show has begun. So let's start with a little bit of politics, some, religious intrusion in people's lives. And Kim, this has to do, again, with people's reproductive freedom and their own personal decisions on whether or not they want to have a family.
I guess it's not as bad as an edict coming from the Supreme Court because you don't have to follow it and you don't have to be a member of this religion.
Right.
But if you are a Baptist, specifically a Southern Baptist, your church just came out this week and said IVF is not a God-honoring process and that the U.S. government should work to restrain it. They said that. They mean that. They are the largest Protestant denomination in the country, mostly white, mostly Republican, according to this article in CNN. That's how this religion skews. One of the Southern Baptists that was casting votes on this said it was for a Christian couple. He said that he stood to recount how difficult but ultimately fulfilling it was for a Christian couple he knew to conceive their child through IVF. The child, he said, was born a gift from God. He has life so enriched us all. Because of him, I thank God for IVF. But he was in the minority. It was very close, though. But they came out against IVF. So here's the question. If you're a Baptist, do you, and I remember having this conversation with a Mormon friend once at KGO, who said, if you're going to be a religion, then you're going to accept all tenets of that religion, or you're not really that religion.
Right.
That it's not a buffet where you get to pick and choose what you believe in and what you don't. If you subscribe to the religion, then you buy the whole hook, line, and sinker. I don't think that way. I tend to be more of a buffet kind of person. But
a lot of people are, I would say.
But is that the case? So if you're a Southern Baptist and your views, if you're a Southern Baptist, are probably pretty conservative and pretty rigid, but maybe you're having trouble conceiving and maybe this is the only way to achieve your dream, then do you start to question all the tenets of that religion? Because you know that one doesn't make sense. And I'll tell you this, and I've said this once before, but when you have IVF, there is no guarantee you're going to get a baby out of it.
Right, exactly.
You could be spending $25,000, $30,000 for a big fat
expensive.
zero.
Yeah,
There is no guarantee. So what happens in that petri dish? What happens in that lab when you put sperm in contact with an egg? Sometimes nothing.
Yeah.
Sometimes a spark of life.
Right.
Who is to say that's not God in the lab, in that spark, in that moment? Who's to say? Who are you to say? Who is this guy to say? It could be the magic of God. And if God didn't want us to know about IVF and how to help give human life a helping hand, then maybe God wouldn't have let us know about it.
Well, exactly. I mean, God created science.
If you believe in God.
If you believe in God. But even if you don't, this is honestly what I just don't understand. Look, if you are a Southern Baptist and you subscribe to all the rules and regulations and you are having a hard time, conceiving, you're screwed. That's just basically it. Like, if you truly live your life by these rules of whatever religion you're part of, and you don't go against them, you don't do the buffet style, fine. Live your life that way. That's a decision that you are actively making. My problem becomes when you want to take that and expand it to the rest of the country. Those people that believe the way you believe or don't believe the way that you believe. And that's crazy to me.
Yeah.
It's like, let people decide. If you don't believe that IVF is correct, that it goes against God's processes, don't have IVF.
Right.
Believe what you want to believe, be part of your church, and then don't have IVF. And I don't know, get down on your knees and pray that a miracle happens. I don't know. I don't know what other option is for you.
Right.
But don't make other women feel bad about doing it. And again, it's a made up rule. It's not as if IVF was around when their Bible or whatever they read and worship about was around. They are deciding. See what I mean? The man, and I'm using the man and the humans are deciding, right? And usually it's men, are deciding this. Like, I've given it much thought and I think I know what God would believe. And I've thought and prayed really hard and I've decided to really restrict your freedom. It's like, screw you, man. Like, how about no? How about I really prayed really hard about it and I feel A-okay having IVF? It's mind-boggling that people would do that, but that's how many people live their lives.
I feel much better about Southern Baptists saying they don't believe that IVF is honoring God's processes because, again, you don't have to be a Southern Baptist and you don't have to subscribe to their tenets. That's your choice, as you just said. I feel a lot worse about the decision by the Alabama State Supreme Court when they ruled that embryos are living children under state law, that they can't be disposed of, this type of thing. That made IVF a little bit more complicated in the state of Alabama, and that affects all Alabamans, right?
Whether you're a Southern Baptist, whatever.
Right. So it's, you choose to follow the church, but you have no choice when the government slaps down a rule.
It's just, it's insane how much people want their religion part of their politics, their government, when it's literally, we designed this country in a way to have it be separated, and people are so forgetting that. And it's kind of sad given the fact that we haven't been a country that long. In the grand scheme of things and the grand history of other countries and civilizations, the United States of America is relatively new, and we're blowing it, people. You know what I mean? Like, when people, and we've talked about, the Roman Empire, the fall of Rome, why men think about it, why people think about it. It's because, Rome was around for a long time and then it fell, and it was the people, right? And I just feel like as Americans, we're forgetting what made us great, and we're not evolving in a way that is allowing us to live with each other in harmony. It seems like we just want to make it harder and harder to be the United States of America, because it's either my way or the highway, and there doesn't seem to be enough room to compromise anymore. It's like, I don't see the problem of the compromise. Let's just say IVF. Okay, if you don't want to have IVF, don't have IVF. I don't understand why that's not
same as abortion. You don't want to have one, don't have
insane.
one.
It's like, I'm not forcing you to be Catholic. I'm not forcing you to have IVF. I'm not forcing you to have an abortion. If you don't want it, you don't have to have it. Yeah, absolutely. But people have created this story in their mind. Well, if your tax dollars go to a lot of crap that you probably don't support. Stop it already. Like, they're making themselves have to fight against other people and to subscribe to the way they believe. And it's going to be our downfall. If we don't get it together, it is going to be our downfall. And I hope we snap the hell out of it.
One of the things they said, in addition to IVF not being a God-honoring process, is they also said it's not morally justified. So I think we can all have a different opinion of what we consider morally justified. As you said, you don't want it, don't have it. You do want it, do have it. You have your own morals that you justify. But I thought I'd ask you what your thoughts are about whether you think that reproductive help assistance is morally justified, because I know that means something different to everyone.
Well, I think any way that you want to get pregnant is justified. I mean, if you have to use science, human, created science, why would you deny people that? Like, that's like denying. It's like the people that, my kid's sick and I'm not going to do medicine. I'm just going to sit and pray over it, or him or her. It's like, well, there's medicine. Like, we as human beings created in our wisdom, and whether you want to attribute it to God or whatever, medicines and technology that can help save your child. No. God will save him. Okay, but your kid might die, right? So that's the way I see it, is I incorporate science into my life. And this is just me personally, because I do believe that science is God created. Like, for me, obviously, like, I believe in God. I believe that there is God in all of us and everything. And so if it is, it's in the science. It's in everything.
So
So
there's some, I'll just play devil's advocate.
yes.
Mentioning ahead of this that I did have IVF. Okay. So when you look at all medical procedures, they're not all created equal, and not all science may be ethical. So
Right.
when you look at maybe cloning, right?
Ooh, yes.
Or
Good
I don't
example.
know. Yeah, there's some things that like you cross a line there and I get a
Yeah.
little iffy, right?
Yeah.
And so I can see why there's kind of a gray area morally for some people.
Right.
So for me, it is morally justified. For you, it's morally justified. And I could see how for some people, maybe it's not. And we go circle right back around to what you said at the very beginning, which is then don't do it.
Exactly. Do you think that it's morally justified, let's say, to alter the genes of embryos so that they're a certain height,
No.
eye color, hair? What about removing diseases or the possibility of disease? What if you have something in your family and you're able to use the CRISPR, editing tool and just take that right out? Would you do that? I feel like then we're getting into that. What was that new Gattaca? Was it? Gattaca, right? Wasn't that the name of the movie?
What do you think about people who have several embryos in the lab and they decide, I don't want a boy, I only want a girl.
Yeah.
So destroy these because these aren't the ones I want. I only
Right.
want this one.
Exactly.
I feel like there's a moral way to approach this, and that's not it.
Right. Well, do you believe
that's-
embryos are people?
That's my own personal decision. I feel like they're a human byproduct.
Potential. They're
that
the
should
potential
be-
of being a person.
we should treat them with respect.
Of
Are they
course.
alive?
No.
Are they a human being?
No. They're the
But
potential.
should we treat them with respect and care?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I mean, I would treat
It's-
everything with respect and care. I would hope they treat mice in labs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or monkeys or whatever. Like, you don't abuse them. You don't purposely harm them.
They do, but yeah.
They do, exactly. But that's why I would be like, but again, it's one of those things that it is kind of hard to nail down, okay, I'm only this or I'm only that. It's so
Right.
gray sometimes. And again, that's why I always default. What feels good to you? You have to live with it. You have to live with the consequences of what you are deciding to do, whether it's an abortion, whether it's IVF, whether it's, getting rid of the embryos, whatever.
Sure.
You have to live with that, right? But to say embryos are people and should get all the same constitutional rights as a living, breathing human
No.
being, I mean, that's going too far in my opinion.
Yeah,
You
it's
know,
not
because then all of a
common
sudden
sense.
you're impeding on the actual living human beings. So anyways, it's very difficult. I really wish churches would say the hell out of politics.
Yeah.
Guide people. If I was on the pulpit or whatever and I was saying, we believe that life begins at conception, let's just go there, you know what I mean? That's obviously influencing the people of your church to view it that way. And so then if they're in a situation in which they have to decide whether they're going to continue a pregnancy or not, they'll have that lesson in their mind and can make their own decision. But it doesn't need to be the church coming out firmly against some sort of issue that obviously affects people that are part of the church and outside the church.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. So that's going to be one we're going to have to follow, and we'll see how much that plays into the November election.
Yeah.
Here's a different. It's kind of the opposite of starting a family. It's kind of breaking up a family. So, when you have a baby, and when you get married, and I will even say, I don't know if you did this, like when you move into your first house, right? Or what do? You have like a housewarming party, you have a baby shower, you have a wedding shower, bridal shower, you make a registry, and you get a bunch of stuff. Well, apparently there's this new kind of registry. It's called the Fresh Start Registry, and it's for people who are getting a divorce. Okay. So it's a gift registry specifically for rebuilding after divorce. It's packed with experts, in all sorts of things, like obviously weddings, marriages that have ended. And so I was reading this article and this woman was being interviewed. She said, I thought, I had a baby registry, a wedding registry, and that's when I actually needed to restock my life. I need the community support. I need new towels. Now that I'm divorced, I need new sheets. I need new utensils. Do you see it the same way? On one hand, I get it, right? If I'm getting divorced, maybe I don't get the utensils, or maybe I'm not getting the TV.
Half of all your stuff is gone.
Right. So do you, but if you got, but this is my thing. I'm going to show you the website of this place. Okay. Now be honest, Kim. If
Okay.
you check in your email and so down the street or one of your friends sends you an email and then it's like, this is Fresh Registry. We're thrilled to introduce you to the divorce announcement. And then there's a bunch of stuff on there that your friend needs to prepare for his or her life after a divorce. Would you pay for something on the list as much as you would if it was a wedding or a baby announcement?
Okay. So I've heard a divorce described.
Uh-huh.
My parents are divorced, so
Yeah.
my mom has told me a divorce feels like a death in the family.
Okay.
It feels like a loss.
Of course.
She and everyone feels differently about it. For some people,
Right.
maybe they're relieved and it's a party.
Yeah.
But for my mom, who was kind of blindsided by the whole thing, she felt like there was a loss and that there was a failure.
Yeah.
That's how she felt. It wasn't celebratory. Either way, whether you're celebrating it or whether you're feeling bad about it, you still have to start over. You're still
Yes.
starting over.
Right.
And if you're my friend or you're my sister or you're my person, I want to support you. I know you're going through enough stuff in your life right now, enough emotional stuff, enough, even if you're glad you got divorced, there's still something probably that
Baggage.
feels like a failure.
Yes.
Or why couldn't I make this work? You know how women go. You know how we do, right?
Yes, exactly.
And so I feel like I would want to support you. The last thing I want you worrying about is whether or not you have silverware
Exactly.
or plates.
Or
I'm
something like
for
that.
it. Like,
Yeah.
would I send one out for myself? No. I would probably just do without and buy a very small set of silverware.
Yeah. I can't
But
even imagine. I mean, obviously,
if
I
I'm
can't even
supportive
imagine,
and if
but-
you sent that to me, I would totally buy whatever's on your list. You bet.
Right. And what was interesting is in the article, they were talking about the emotional impact of having kind of the stuff left over from when you were married in your new place. It's like, oh, that was John's whatever. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
no,
Or,
see, that's where we cross the line.
yeah, like
So
I don't
if
want,
he
I would be
took
like, get it all out.
Let's replace it. But if it's
Yeah.
a perfectly good set of plates that just happened to have been around since you got married, use the plates. Come on.
Really? See, that was
Oh,
what I was
yeah.
thinking. I was like, if it was my wedding china, I don't
No.
know. I don't know if I'd
If
be able to
you're
keep it.
talking about, having to start over and having to spend money on house stuff, which is expensive,
Yes.
then get the stuff that you don't have. But the stuff that you do have, don't be all emotional over crap. Come on. Use the plates. If you don't have, the silverware or the mop or the couch
Right.
cushions or whatever it is, let's buy that. But if you
Yeah.
have a perfectly good set of plates, you're just being emotional. Don't do it.
Yeah, yeah. And it has to be hard. I mean, because like you said, like you have to split it up. There, if you only have one couch, there's only one couch. Someone's getting it.
Yep.
I would, if God forbid I ever got separated from my husband, but like if we had bought a couch together and there was so many memories on that couch, right? From Christmases and holidays and snuggling and all that sort of stuff. Would I want the couch? No, I'd want a new couch. You know what I mean? I wouldn't want his ass indent reminding me every time that he was sitting there. You know what I
Listen,
mean? Like,
most of the time, guys don't care what the couch looks like. Leave him the old one. You
leave
get
him.
the new
Exactly.
one.
I get the
Yeah.
new one. So that's so funny. All right. Well, there's one more story, and it's more to do with summertime. And I don't know how I feel about this. Are you, Kim, and I don't know if I know this about you, are you a Southwest Airlines girl?
I don't travel very often.
Okay.
And when I travel, it's usually Alaska.
Oh, it is. Is there a particular reason why you choose Alaska?
I have a credit card.
Oh, see, that's why I choose Southwest. Well, that's not the only reason I choose Southwest. The real reason I choose Southwest, besides the fact that I have a credit card, is the reason I got the credit card is because I like the 2 bags for free. Like,
Okay.
if you add how much these airlines are charging you to bring bags
Sure.
into the difference of the price of the ticket, it works sometimes. Most of the time, I would say in your favor. Sometimes not. Like sometimes you can get a really cheaper flight on not Southwest, but the bags get you. Well, anyways, Elliott Investment Management announced this week it's taken a nearly $2 billion stake in Southwest Airlines and wants new leadership at Southwest. Now, you'll remember the holiday debacle where everyone's flights were canceled.
Yeah.
Remember, I was like in Mexico, right? I was in Mexico in the line and I almost had a cut in front of everybody and I didn't give a crap. I was like, no, we're leaving. So I was like, sorry, I'm that stupid American that's just not going to miss her flight. But yeah, it was an S show. And I kind of vowed not to use them ever again internationally which I haven't had to.
Hmm.
But if in the United States, a domestic flight, I
Yeah.
still fly Southwest Airlines. But one of the things that the guy that's going to be taking over is mentioning is that Southwest, besides the scheduling and the staffing software that was completely antiquated, is that they haven't really adopted all of the ways that airlines make money. If they get rid of the 2 free bags, they've lost me. It's as
Hmm.
simple as that. I really don't, because the other thing that I don't like about Southwest, but I deal with because of the free bags, is it's a cattle call. You don't
Yeah.
get to choose your seat. And
Yeah.
so I give that comfort up because I could bring, and it's 2 bags for everybody. So if my whole family goes, we could bring 8 bags for free. That's
Hmm.
huge. You know what I mean?
Well, and
So
I say I'm Alaska, but I'm whatever's cheapest.
yeah, that's true. With the
Yeah.
bags included, though, right? I mean, you
Right.
have to
Right.
factor in the cost of the
Hmm.
bag. It's not just
Absolutely.
the ticket. You can't be
Hmm.
nickel and dime to death. So yeah, is there something that an airline can do that would lose you as a customer? And I feel like besides price, the only thing that Southwest has going for it is the bags. And and obviously you can pay to be upgraded. Like, so if you buy your ticket on Southwest, you could pay
Right.
for early bird boarding, which gets you in like the A or the B section. My tip and trick is you set your alarm for the 24 hours before your flight takes off, like literally 24 hours. Once your alarm goes off, you go on Southwest and you hit check in because you can check in on your phone. You're
Hmm.
usually in B. And if it's not a full flight, A. Like,
Yeah.
it's really freaking easy to get. You just have to remember to do that. But I really hope they don't get rid of it. I hope they keep the bags and bring pay for selecting your seat. I'd pay a little bit to select my seat.
Yeah.
I'd
Me
do that.
too.
I
The
would do that. Like
worst
10 bucks,
thing
15 bucks, something like that. I might do that.
The worst thing an airline can do, I think, is when you buy your ticket, you're
Hmm.
packed, your family's at the airport, everyone's ready to go, and they say, "Sorry, we overbooked the flight.
Oh yeah.
You don't have a ticket."
Oh
Now
yeah, that's
that
not
I
okay.
think that's not cool with me. That's
No.
irresponsible. No.
No, absolutely not. It's you don't sell me a ticket unless
Hmm.
I have a seat on that plane. And
That's
if
right.
you are going to try to overbook the flight because that makes business sense for you, you've lost me as a
Hmm.
customer. That's just
Agree.
the way that is. So fingers crossed that Southwest doesn't change too much because they'll be losing me as a customer.
Not to end the show on a low note, but let's end the show
Oh.
on a low note.
Oh
Did
no,
you
okay.
hear? And I don't know
Uh-oh.
how this flight goes, and how your vacation goes after this. Because all I'm thinking about is this guy that died on mid-flight
Oh
on the way
no.
to SFO. It's a 41-year-old man who was aboard a
Oh.
Fiji Airways flight on the way from Fiji to San Francisco and had a
Okay.
medical condition about 90 minutes before landing at SFO. They had a doctor on board, luckily, and the
Okay.
cabin crew is trained as well. And they provided immediate assistance, but unfortunately, he didn't make it and he passed away.
I wonder if it
He
was like
was
one
a
of those blood embolism thingies or something.
brain aneurysm, something? I don't know.
Yeah.
He was a U.S. citizen, but they haven't provided a cause of death yet, only to say there was a medical emergency. Can you imagine? I mean,
No.
that's awful.
Here's a
And then,
question for you.
yeah.
If it was your spouse, let's just say he wasn't coming home, he was in Fiji and like there was would you want to know immediately or would you just want to wait until they got home
You mean what I want them to
to be
call me aboard the
notified?
plane
Yeah.
and say that
Yeah.
I don't think it matters.
Yeah. I
I don't
bet
think
you,
it
I mean,
matters
he's so
when you're
far away and
notified. I mean,
yeah. Well, the only reason I ask is I remember my parents were on this like small it was like a cruise, but it was only a small number of people, so everyone knew each other and somebody died on the
ooh,
boat. And they knew the person because it was like everybody was hanging out.
sure.
And I'll never forget. My dad looked at me and he's like, "Dude, until we're home, I'm not gonna have him call you." And he's like, "What can you do until like the body and my mom are actually back in the United States? What's the
Yeah.
point of upsetting you about it?" And I'm like, I get what you're saying, but I feel like I would want to know as soon as possible. Like,
Right.
perhaps, but I
Yeah.
feel
I
like
mean,
this guy from Fiji, it was probably something to do with the fact that he was sitting so long. Maybe you
who
hear that
knows?
happens a lot.
41. It could have
That's
just
too
been
young.
some other type of medical emergency. I don't know.
Oh, how sad.
Yeah, really awful. And then
Oh.
imagine that, and I, in my mind, we're going the other way. It happens SFO to Fiji, and you're going on a
Right.
vacation to Fiji. And the whole time, I'm just thinking about that horrible thing that happened on the plane. It kind
Mhm.
of, and I know
Ruined your
it's not everything's about me, right? Not everything's
But
about my
it's
vacation.
true.
But I'm feeling like I feel it because, I'm
Somebody
sensitive.
died
I'm
in front
feeling
of
it.
you.
I'm thinking about that. And how can I possibly have fun
Oh,
when someone's mourning the
absolutely.
loss of their person?
Can you
Yeah.
imagine if it happened like right in front of you though? Or like, what if you were sitting next to the guy and he passed away, and you're like,
God.
I thought he was sleeping the whole time or something. You know what I mean? Like, ugh. Not to be morbid or anything. I always choose any opportunity to be morbid, but our hearts do go off to that guy's family
Yeah.
because 41 is way too young to do any of
Yeah.
it.
Really sad.
All right. I know it's Friday, so I did want to throw this in as we head out. Are you excited? I'm excited. And my kids keep making fun of me. I want to see if I'm looking for
Okay.
movie reviews over here. I want to see if I want to see Watchers.
Okay.
Those are my two that I want to see in the theaters. And what I'm also watching on TV, and I think it's Apple, is the new Presumed Innocence. It's a remake,
Oh.
Presumed Innocent. It used to be with Harrison Ford, and now it's with Jake Gyllenhaal. I just started that. It's pretty good. So those are my recommendations. I have not seen If, and I've not seen Watchers. So let me know in the comments if any of you guys have seen it or going to see it, and tell me what you think.
So Tim Sika previewed If and
And
said it was a great idea that never went anywhere.
oh, boo!
He was incredibly disappointed. He said it just didn't. Like the idea was good, but it just kind of laid there on the screen.
Okay.
But then a couple of days ago, my husband took my 10-year-old son to see it, and they both loved it.
Loved it. That's what I heard.
And then I played the Tim Sika interview when he was talking about If for my husband. And he said he pulled up the Rotten Tomatoes and he goes, you know what? It's interesting because if you look at Rotten Tomatoes, the critics didn't like it.
Oh,
and the regular public moviegoers really did like it. It gets like an 88%. Yeah.
So. I always look at the credit and like, the audience has to like it. It was the same thing as Fall Guy. Fall Guy got such mixed reviews. I loved it. I loved Fall Guy. Okay. I did. I really, really enjoyed it. I said this before. I love the homage to the stunt actors and everything like that. I thought it was really cool. So, but Watchers is scary. You know me, I love scary. And then If I feel like it's going to, and I want to watch Inside Out 2.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
That's the new Pixar one. So maybe I'll see that next week.
We're also waiting for the new Minions movie as well.
I know. I know that we're being minioned out in this household when my son was like, they're making another one. And he was a huge Minions person. So we'll see. All right. That's the show, you guys. Thank you so much for being here. Make sure you click that thumbs up button and please subscribe and tell your friends about the show because we love just growing this community. Super chats, super stickers. Thank you guys so much for donating to the show. A couple of ways. The top ways to donate is through our Patreon. Throw $10 a month our way and we love you. You're an official Madorable. So just go to NikkiMadoroShow.com, hit the Patreon link, it's right there, or you can go to PayPal.com, hit the send button, and put in the NikkiMadoroShow@gmail.com, and get some barbecue sauce from Auntie Tabby's Island Flavors. A portion of it goes to this show and to a skateboarding program in Jamaica, where Tabby is from. Go to AuntieTabby's.com, use the coupon code NICKKIM, NIKKIM. You can get the guava barbecue sauce, the pineapple hot sauce, the hibiscus hot sauce. They're all delicious. You cannot lose. Get the max pack or the mix pack. It's just the way to go. Absolutely. And again, the coupon code for that is Nick Kim. All right, you guys have a fabulous weekend. And until next week, bye-bye.
Nikki, you're all so awesome. Miss Brown, like a beautiful blossom. You're also the best. I really can't rest. You're all so awesome.
Wow. Okay.